Yeah, thank you so much for the invitation. Indeed, Zhang Zhan, she's a lawyer turned journalist. She was set to be released yesterday on the Monday, 30th of May, after the completion of her 4 year prison sentence in connection with her independent reporting on the early stages of the COVID pandemic. We don't have any confirmation up to date until now if she was indeed released from the detention. And what we know at this point, that some people were threatened and prevented from joining her in prison to pick her up from the detention center. As well, her family is not picking up the phone right now, due presumably to the pressure from the Chinese authorities.
Yeah, I mean, I imagine from what you're saying is that it could jeopardize her safety and that of her family if there was a widespread reporting and publicity about her release and why she went to jail in the first instance.
Exactly. And we know that basically her family, that was in the past very local about her case, and even have a Twitter account where they shared information letter from the prison, and then been silenced for three days. I think the silence itself is a message. The message that the authorities probably try to silence any news, any information about her whereabouts, as well the fact that the activists, lawyers, supporters were threatened. This is another message to show to us that probably she was moved to other location, that she's still detained, all under surveillance at home, to make sure that she cannot speak without said word.
What did she do to so anger authorities?
So she was reporting about the COVID-19. As I said before, she was a lawyer, but she decided that she will go to the epicenter of the pandemic in the city of Wuhan in May, and she was arrested in May 2020 for that. She has posted more than 100 videos on social media before her arrest. And 7 months later, after the arrest and detention in specific facility, she was sentenced to 4 years in prison under very often used charge of picking quarrels and provoking trouble, which is used to basically silence any independent voices in China.
And she went on hunger strike and became incredibly frail and thin.
Exactly. And first she was on the full hunger strike. It was for a couple of the months. Later on, because of a very difficult situation with health, she was also shackled by the authorities, forcibly fed by the nasal tube. She decided to go to the partial hunger strike, so she ate a small amount of the meals in detention. But this is the last news we have about her health situation. In July 2023, where her mother visited her in prison, she was only weighing 37 kilograms. And what is important, she was almost 2 meters tall. So it's very, very low weight for such a person.
Yeah, and you have to wonder what her health is like now, even if she has been released. What does it say? I mean, she wasn't, of course, the only whistleblower, the only reporter who talked about this openly who ended up in jail, was she?
No, she wasn't. There was many others. And another case, there's a citizen journalist. He was a businessman, he went to the same cities. He also tried to cover about COVID-19, and he was released from prison last year. And what we know, for example, it's just a news from the few days ago, couple of a week or even less, that the authorities are even going to the lengths to pressure on his landlord. He cannot live in his apartment anymore. He's homeless, like generally homeless right now, because the authorities in the city that he's living has pressured on his landlord to evict him from his home. And this is multiple cases like this, where they use different type of pressure, different type of threats to people to make sure that they cannot speak up, they cannot do the work, and to basically stop speaking about what is happening right now inside of China.
Yeah, it's so little transparency, and it does speak to, how difficult it has been to really ever find out what happened in Wuhan.
Exactly. And again, China is the biggest jailer of journalists around the world. RSF has 119 journalists and press freedom defenders right now in detention in different provinces in China. We don't have any other country in the same level of persecution of journalists. And it all started actually with the leader Xi Jinping, who came into power in 2012. And he started an unprecedented campaign against the right to information in the country. That was intensified during COVID-19. And right now, even for us, because I've been working on those cases for many years, it's very difficult to confirm very often if people that we know that were detained, were sentenced for long sentences, are they still alive? What is the health situation? One of the examples is, for example, the Swedish citizen publisher Gui Minhai, who was sentenced to 10 years in prison, and his daughter, who spoke with him 4 years ago, she cannot confirm right now with the authorities if he's still alive or what is his health situation. And this is just one of the multiple cases like this. And the authorities are doing anything in their power to silence anyone who's trying to report on the facts and to report on the truth that is not welcome by the authorities.
Yeah. Appreciate your time, Aleksandra. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much.